Your paycheck arrives on Friday, but by Monday it's already shrinking. Money shapes almost every decision we make, yet very few of us were ever taught how it truly works. Schools teach us algebra, history, and literature, but they rarely teach us how to manage money, build wealth, or protect ourselves from economic forces like inflation. That is where Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad has become one of the most transformative books in personal finance. It tells the story of two fathers: his biological father, the poor dad, who is educated, hardworking, but financially insecure, and his friend's father, the rich dad, who is less formally educated, but financially savvy and wealthy. Through their contrasting philosophies, Kiyosaki reveals the critical differences between working for money and learning to make money work for you. The poor dad represents the traditional mindset: attend school, secure a good job, climb the ladder, and prioritize security. In times past, when the cost of living was lower and pensions were common, this path could provide stability. But today, with inflation eroding savings, job security evaporating, and the costs of everything from housing to groceries skyrocketing, that advice often leaves people feeling trapped. To put this into perspective, consider examining what percentage of your total income comes from a single source. If more than 70% of your income is tied to one paycheck, you are vulnerable, and your security may be an illusion. The Rich Dad, by contrast, teaches that security is an illusion if you are dependent on a single paycheck. His philosophy is centered on acquiring assets, including investments, businesses, real estate, and intellectual property that generate income regardless of whether one is actively engaged in work. Assets feed you, while liabilities drain you. This is the foundation of financial freedom. In today's world of rising inflation, these lessons are even more urgent. If you save money in a bank account, inflation quietly erodes its value every year. $10,000 today buys less tomorrow. However, suppose you use that same money to acquire assets such as buying shares of companies, investing in a rental property, or creating intellectual property. In that case, you own something that increases in value or generates income as prices rise. An asset can be tested with this rule of thumb. Does it put cash in your pocket this month? Here are a couple of simple ways to start building assets. First, consider opening a basic investment account and investing in low-cost index funds. This can be a low-barrier entry point into the world of investing. Secondly, starting a small side hustle is a practical way to generate additional income and grow it into a full-scale business. That's how wealthy people protect themselves from inflation. Their assets inflate along with the economy. The poor, on the other hand, feel inflation the hardest because their savings lose value while their wages rarely keep pace with rising costs. Rich Dad's lesson is simple. Do not just work harder, work smarter. Build or buy things that increase in value while you sleep. Kiyosaki also stresses the importance of financial literacy. In challenging times like these, when costs are rising and debt is pervasive, knowing how to read financial statements and understand cash flow is a vital survival skill. Most people confuse liabilities with assets. They think a bigger house or a new car makes them rich, when in reality those things create debt and drain money. True assets are those that put money into your pocket. Understanding this difference enables you to make more informed choices when every dollar counts, helping you avoid the trap of buying appearances while falling deeper into debt. For those seeking to deepen their understanding, please download a sample cash flow statement as a mini exercise. Circle the inflows and outflows to turn passive advice into active skill building. Additionally, you can explore free courses on sites like Coursera or Khan Academy that offer modules on financial statements and cash flow. Books such as The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham or Accounting Made Simple by Mike Piper can also serve as excellent resources for expanding your financial knowledge. The book also teaches that fear and comfort are enemies of growth. Poor Dad avoided risk for the sake of security, but that security was fragile. Rich Dad taught that fear of losing money keeps people poor, while learning how to take smart, calculated risks opens the door to opportunity. I recall the time when I was hesitant to invest in my first stock. The fear of losing my savings was gripping, and I spent weeks deliberating. It was only after reading about the simple strategy of starting small and learning along the way that my mindset began to shift. In a world where costs are rising faster than wages, playing it safe can be the riskiest move of all. Building the courage to invest in yourself, learn new skills, or take on projects that generate additional streams of income is a key way to insulate yourself from financial pressure. A practical tip for those nervous about taking risks is to start small and scale gradually. For example, you might begin by investing a modest sum in a low-cost index fund, such as $50 a month or 1% of your take-home pay. This strategy offers diversification and requires minimal maintenance, making it less intimidating for beginners. Alternatively, launching a small side project related to your passions can be a good testing ground for entrepreneurship without sacrificing your primary source of income. Most importantly, Kiyosaki's lessons remind us that mindset is everything. Inflation and rising costs affect everyone, but not equally. If you only rely on a single paycheck, every increase in rent, food, or gas feels crushing. However, if you adopt the rich dad mindset, building assets, creating multiple income streams, and investing in financial education, you begin to break free from that cycle. Instead of inflation being an enemy, it becomes something you can withstand, or even benefit from, because your assets rise as prices rise. The truth is, we are living in uncertain times, but uncertainty has always created opportunities for those who are prepared. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is more than a book about money. It is a book about freedom. It is about stepping out of the cycle of dependence, learning how money really works, and taking control of your financial future so that, regardless of how high inflation rises or how the economy shifts, you have a solid foundation beneath you. One path chases prices, the other earns while you sleep. So, ask yourself, are you following Poor Dad's path, working endlessly for security that slips further away as prices climb? Or are you ready to take on the Rich Dad's path, learning to build assets, grow your financial literacy, and make money work for you? Remember, the cost of everything is rising, but the cost of staying unprepared is even higher. If you take these lessons seriously and begin applying them today, you won't just survive these challenging times, you'll get ahead of them. A practical first step is to track your expenses for a week to see exactly where your money is going. With this understanding, you can then research a specific type of asset, such as index funds or rental properties, that aligns with your financial goals. By taking actionable steps, you'll transition from inspiration to implementation, laying the groundwork for financial growth and success. If this breakdown helped you see money in a new way, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Learn, Grow Summaries. Together, we'll explore the timeless lessons that not only help you thrive financially, but also design a life of freedom, resilience, and fulfillment.